Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. I am so pleased today. I'm going to be welcoming my client and good friend Lou onto the podcast. She started coaching with me last January and has since lost an incredible 7 stone in just under the year we've been coaching. But what she gained is a whole lot more than what she lost. Lou has quite literally got her life back. I know you will feel inspired by Lou when you hear her talk about her journey. It will give you hope, especially if you feel so far away from where you want to be. And from listening to Lou, I know you're going to realize that it is possible to lose weight. It is possible to improve your health and, more importantly, improve how you feel. If you need any help, advice, or support as a result of listening to this podcast, please feel free to reach out. All my contact details are in the show notes. And if you are interested in coaching, then obviously you can contact me through any of my methods of communication. But for now, I want to go over to Lou. I want her to do the talking on the podcast today. She's very easy to listen to. Lou, can you welcome and can you introduce yourself and give a background to who is Lou and what your life looks like?
Yes, hello, Debra.
Hello.
Oh God, I can't believe I'm on the podcast. Feel famous.
Can I just, you know what, before we get started, Lou, I promised I'm not going to interject, but you know what? And me and Lou have spoken before we started recording about how things are going to work. But I just want to make like any listeners realize that I've known Lou for quite some time. And during lockdown, I was PTing in my little garden gym and Lou was in my garden gym having PT. And we used to talk about, you know, life and training and nutrition and where I was working at that time within the industry and where I wanted to get to be. And Lou goes back, not just right back in friendship, she goes right back to knowing where I started and has watched me evolve and grow to where I am now and hopefully where I want to be. And for Lou to be on this podcast, Lou, it is a really big, it's a big deal.
It feels like a 360. I feel like I should be in your shed with some weightlifts doing a little sort of podcast with you back in the day. That was just, can't believe that was only a few years ago, but it's, look at you. I mean, I know this podcast isn't about you, but look at where you are and look at where we are. And it's just been, what a year. Okay.
Look at where we are. Let's talk about you, Lou. And I promise I'm so bad at interrupting. I'm going to really try my best not to.
It's hard. We're friends as well. I bought the tissues as well, just in case. You never know where this is going to go. Okay, so I am Louise. Lovely to see you, hear you all, meet you all, whoever you are. I have known Debra for years and years and years now. She used to own a running club locally where we live, and I had done the couch to 5K. And sort of got stuck at about week 6, just couldn't run past about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And I thought, you know what, this might be a thing to challenge myself and try something new. So I joined on the beginner's course that Debra ran. And Debra was very attentive with the new runners, well, with all of us, but very attentive. I remember her running alongside me for a little bit at the beginning. And I knew from when the very first conversation when we ran down the high street into the corner, I was like, yeah, we're each other's people. We're similar. We've got just the same sort of values and passion. We're both quite passionate, big people. You know, we are quite vivacious, aren't we? We're quite bubbly and loud. And I think that there was a real spark of when I told you about my story at that point in time, which is not even covering what we've done since, but at that point in time, there was quite a lot going on and I've come out of some difficult times. And I think it was great to have that. And we went through the beginners and I just really enjoyed the running and being part of that club. Then I remember you talking to me about PTing, but how we also followed a lot of the same people on Instagram. So a lot of our common, discussions and chats were always about the fitness and health industry. The myth busting, have you seen this person, heard of this person? And you'd been following the people long before I had. But I think it was nice that you were then like, oh yeah, now, you can have a chat about it. And we really enjoyed that time. And you said, look, I'm a PT, I'm a qualified PT. You told me your story, which is on your other podcast, if anybody wants to listen, Taster of Debs and her life. And you were competing at the time, I remember, because there was just nothing of you. And you were just solely focused and very driven, very ambitious. And I like that. I like to be around women like that in my life and environment, because I think your environment is key, as we know. So I think being part of that, listening to you, you just gave me a bit of a, encouragement, I guess, or motivation or self-belief that I could do a bit of this. It was rubbing off, I guess. It's like the genie in the lamp rubbing up against you. I was thinking, yeah, I could do this. So you said, let's do some PT privately. I'd never stepped in a gym in my life. So at this point I was 430 something, 8, 9, 8, no, yeah. I'd never stepped into a gym ever, and wouldn't have. Just utter the thought is genuinely terrifying. Because it's a place where fit people go and healthy people go and people that look good, people that are lean, and people that have muscle and have great conditioning and their body is toned go to the gym. And that's not a place where I felt I could ever go. Then part 2 is this is where things started to go a little bit, I guess, awry, because I was going to the gym, but there were other parts of me that I wasn't looking at, i.e. my nutrition. And so as I was going to the gym and I was like, this is great. I still felt empowered. I felt strong. Look at me. This is great. I was also in a surplus. So I was putting body fat on. I was not paying due care or attention. It was just something that wasn't a priority at that time. I think it's much more empowering to say that than it is to just say, and that's all gone now, that whole language about what, which is so important. And we'll talk about today, that power of how you talk about yourself is really important. And for me, it was just, that's just the place I was in. It wasn't a priority at that point in time. But it did mean there were some injuries that really set me back. And I'd stopped the running actually because of an injury. And I didn't go to a physio. I didn't invest in myself to get better properly. It was just, not all of the ducks were in a row, I should say.
Yeah. Lou, what was the catalyst to you deciding to finally take action and pay more attention to your diet and where you wanted to be? What was the catalyst?
So this isn't new news, and I'm quite open about this because I think that's something that's great. I think that's moved a shift in society, has been that people are more open to talk about these things. But a good few years ago now, 6 years ago, I had a little bit of a breakdown. My mental health has never been where I wanted it to be. I'd say I probably had my first bout of diagnosed or clinical depression at 18. I'm now 42 as of 5 days ago. Can't believe that. I still feel I'm 21. And it was a real, I didn't know, you don't know, depression doesn't have a face. Depression is that, it's you can't call it, you can't walk down the street like you can if, perhaps somebody had a missing limb. It might be easy to detect. A physical disability is something somebody can see, but you can't see invisible things. You can't see things inside people. So me having this my whole life, where I'd have these episodes of real illness, were really, really tolling. They were really, really hard. And I also had mixed with that anxiety. So I felt like I was either in the past or I was only ever in the future, which is what anxiety is. You believe your thoughts are everything. And you go down this whole woven line of believing what you think, and you are trapped in your head. So you're never where you need to be. You're never here. You're never on Sunday morning. You're never sat here, present. And I just thought, that's just my brain. That's just who I am and what I was. And I don't think I ever really learned tools per se. I just learned to sort of ride that wave, get through it, and move on to the next thing. So I think a catalyst for me was having the last one was, it was all a cacophony building together to motherhood. And I'd had Mabel, who was your first child. I should also say, something I haven't said about myself is I work in education. I'm now an educational advisor, but I worked as a teacher for 15 years. And I love kids. I just love it. I love being a teacher. It's something I always wanted to do. Even when I went traveling around the world, I knew that's what I needed to do when I got home. And it's something I'm really, really passionate about, is children getting the best possible start. And I focus on the under 5, so early years, and in schools, so nursery and reception classes. And what I should say was, it's a perfect storm, because I was the perfect teacher. And I'm going to use this word a lot today, but perfect. And I gave my all. I was A star, A grade, outstanding, go here, do this in my own time, for my children, for my class. Just give everything to everyone else has always been my life's work. In friendships, in relationships, everything is about giving people, you and all of you, and your service. My sort of love language, for want of a better word, is acts of service. I like to give and show people that. However, when you're not aware of that, and that's who you are and what you do, it becomes really depleting. So it's a perfect storm. I had Mabel, and she was like my prodigal little dumpling. Just loved her. It was, we're going to be perfect. This is the perfect world, and I'm a perfect mum. I'm going to cook steamed broccoli mashed with a steamed whatever, and you're going to just have everything textbook brilliant. Then I had Martha 2 years later. I wanted to get to, get my kids done. I wanted a not really an age gap, because there was an age gap with my siblings and I wanted to have my kids quite quickly. And I had Martha, and things started unraveling really quickly, but I could feel myself unraveling mentally, but I ignored it. So 2017 was a big breakdown year of, how do you be perfect? I can't be perfect. I don't know how to do this anymore. And it was a real detachment from perfectionism and life.
Yeah. Do you think, sorry, Lou, do you think when all your, being the best mother, focusing on all your friends, focusing on everybody except yourself, if you think back now, like obviously from where you are now and to think then, do you think that was all avoidance and distraction?
Yeah. I then went on to have therapy. So I had this sort of breakdown, 2017, 18, and I had intense therapy for a year. And unraveling perfectionism was a huge, huge part of that, because what that is avoidance. Exactly that. What are you avoiding? You avoid something. And this is a big piece of work for me this year that I've talked to you about, is this procrastination element. It's an avoidance of something. And I'm really I've had some epiphanies over the last few days with that, about what that looks like for me and why I'm avoiding things. It used to be a lot wrapped up in perfectionism. I don't think so now. But I think I came to a place where I was lost at sea in 2017. I just didn't know. I didn't know how to be a mum. I didn't know how to go into the classroom and be anywhere near as the good teacher that I was. The under 5s, 2 under 2, I had, it was just a lot. And those first 5 years were survival. They were absolutely about getting through the next day. So health.
Yeah, I was going to ask where I know your mental health was unraveling.
Yeah.
Where was your physical health?
So physical health wasn't even in the same continent, Debra, if I'm honest. It was got a postcode for another country somewhere else. It was just, there was no.
Yes, sorry, I was going to say like health markers in terms of your BMI, your physiological health. So where were you?
Food, I guess, was just, I was eating anything. There wasn't a thought process to anything. I hadn't been educated yet, because I hadn't started working with you. And it was just, I wasn't sleeping. Under 5s, it's very hard to have that up tip top, but I wasn't sleeping, affected food choices, wasn't moving really. And I was just survival mode. It was trying to work out how I be a mum and how I do this. And it was a slow road to recovery when I admitted I'd been on a holiday that my brother had very kindly helped, us with. And we went to see him in Dubai. And it wasn't until I'd got out of the environment that I was in because when you're stuck in it, it's hard to see, isn't it? And have that perspective. And you're not in logical mind, you're in fight or flight, you're in panic mode when you're in anxiety all the time. So going out of that, seeing my brother, I remember feeling physically very, very uncomfortable. I remember being in a now I'm in a cold country, I live in England. Sometimes it's very easy to hide under, baggy clothes. You can't do that in 40 degrees. And I remember just feeling really, really uncomfortable. My whole life has been anyway, put the sarong on, put this on, wrap that around you, breathe in, suck in, turn to the side, chin slightly down. My life was how to try and make the best out of a situation and physically try and hide yourself. I was all about hiding, try and be the smallest version of yourself. Being small equaled being successful. I grew up in the 80s, so it was heroin chic. It was the catwalk models that are tiny, and that's how you should look. It was the fat shaming magazines. It was a culture of, oh my God, look at the rolls, and they'd zoom in on someone's stomach, and that's just was normal to me. That's what it was. It was fat equaled bad. So then I went through a bit of then I went through this sort of mental, I thought, do you know what? I can't do everything. Let's try and unpick all of the threads and work on one thing at a time. And at the time, if anybody had given me more things to do, it was just completely overwhelming when you're at that point of fight or flight. So I thought, let's just get my mental health sorted. So I had this year of intense therapy that saved my life. And I got to learn about myself and behaviours and who I am and why I've done this, why I've reacted in this way and what that means and what could it mean? What could it have meant for the other person as well? In this situation, what do I need to do differently next time? And it was really, 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 really helpful. So then this isn't a story that is going to say, I was at my biggest, I was so unhappy, I found my coach, and it wasn't that. I felt in my head super strong, and I didn't dislike the way I looked at all. And I think that, in a nutshell, is exactly where people need to be for sustainable success in their health. I have had periods where I have hated and shamed. My whole life has been dieting. Weight Watchers, hiya Linda, hi Sharon, here we go. Oh my God, 2 pounds off, everyone. Clap for the fucking that's lost the weight. It just felt awful. Then the week where you go, we'll put on a pound, not so many cakes next week. The sort of dog mentality of sort of sit, heal, reward, no knowledge of what I was doing and eating, no idea, things that were bad, things that were good, free things, not free things. I did Atkins, lost 10 pounds in a week, thought fabulous, it's easy, just eat steak every day and mackerel. I've never been able to, it took me about 8 years to eat mackerel again because I was retching eating that for breakfast because that's what you had to do. It was just carnage, my lifelong love affair. And actually the first time I realized I even had an awareness about my body being in a larger body, which is my whole life, I should hasten to add, was my dad had a word with me after university, because university was just hedonistic. It was, crisp for breakfast, Chinese for lunch, drinking, fabulous time, but not healthy. And my dad had a word with me when I left uni, and because he just cared. It came from a place of just utter love. But that was the first time I was aware, and I thought, oh right, okay, something needs to be done. Didn't know why. I didn't know that it was about your cardiovascular health. I didn't know that this is about lifespan and other health implications that you can have when you live in a body that has a really high percentage of body fat. I didn't know that those things. It was just a sort of shame thing of, oh God, I'm fat, I can't be fat, so I better do something about it. So here within lied the problem, because then you're in, out, shake it all about for like 20 years. And what I noticed the pattern was crash diet for something. So I'm very goal driven when I want to be. So if I'm getting married, I think every woman in the world watching this will get this. I'm getting married, I will lose weight. So it was, I've got a deadline, got a date, smash it, smash it, smash it, smash it. I think I lost 4 stone, and felt, you know, just I looked so great and felt fabulous and great. It wasn't particularly healthy. I do remember eating lettuce and cucumber only at some points. You know, but it was all about lose as much as you can the quickest way possible. Brilliant, that's done now. And then suddenly you're in a surplus for 2, 3, 4 years again, and you're like, oh God, how did I get here? So that was sort of the where I was, really.
I want to pick you up on something you said earlier, just before we move on, because I think it's a really important point. Is you talked about after you'd had your therapy and you mentally were feeling a whole lot better, and you reached this point of self-acceptance, and at that time you were, as you said, at your heaviest, at your biggest, and that feeling of self-acceptance. And I really want to sort of touch on this because people are so focused on being small and basing their self-worth on being small and what the number on a scale is. And you being able to accept and love yourself, or maybe that's a bit stronger word, like it's not about looking in a mirror and saying I love myself, but having that self-acceptance of yourself at your heaviest is probably what has made you so successful in your journey to a healthier you, which is really what I want to emphasize, is that, you know, it's not just about external appearance. It's not just about being small. It's not just about losing weight. It's not about basing, you know, having a goal. I want to be the weight I was, you know, 5 years ago when I didn't have children and I had a different looking life then. Is that that was huge.
So to me, this had to be different. You know, there was a reason why none of the other stuff works, Debra. So I couldn't go there again. I knew already I'd got children now. I've got a busy life. I can't eat mackerel for breakfast every day and a steak every day. I've got a family to feed. It's expensive. I cannot as well, time-wise, cook different food, because that's what you do when you're on these diets. It's like, I'll have this. I knew that none of what had worked before was going to work again. But I felt like, so my head was really good. And I remember all of 2022, 23, just being so proud that, 21, 22, I should say, just feeling really happy and proud that I had done the work in my head to get myself to a place where I was feeling like, you're a good person. Yeah. You're a good lass, you know, you're a good friend. So I did all the self-esteemy stuff. And then I remember in the October, you and I went on a walk. Now, I hasten to add, we've always been friends.
We've always been friends. Bring this up. Yeah. I remember that walk. I remember what you were wearing.
Yeah, same. We've been friends for a long time. And one thing you have never done is ever judge or actually put, how's the word? You've never tried to influence me into any way, shape, or form of living. You accepted me like I don't think anybody has at that time in my life, where you saw all of me, the inside me. You were like, you're so fun, this is great, let's do this. You know, it was all about what you can do and our friendship, and you were very, very healthy, what I call, you know, disciplined, healthy, motivated. But this has been your life's work. You've always worked in this way, you've always lived in this way. I couldn't be further from the truth. I've never played sport. I mean, I did play netball in a primary school, I think, and really enjoyed it. But you're already in the cycle of body, oh God, I can't play sport because I'm heavy or fat. I do remember always feeling fat at school, actually. And I do remember always thinking, I can't play because I'm overweight and I feel embarrassed, or I'm not fast. And then you're never picked first for anything, you pick last. So it's always like this. It isn't for me. That's what other people do. I'm the funny one. That's my role in life. You know, you put yourself in a box.
Yeah.
I'll be the funny one that's slightly overweight, and I'll get my mate, the fit guy will try to talk to me to get him to like my mate. That was my role in life. And I felt like I stepped on the stage with you in that October. So we'd always been friends. And I remember you just making me feel like I was the centre of the world and that I could totally, you didn't say this, but you made me feel that my life was for me, and that I could make choices for me to live my life. I remember just all through all those conversations, through the PTing, through the times, through the walks, you never once mentioned coaching. You talked to me as a friend, like, about your journey, about, right, I'm going coaching, I'm really excited, but you never once were like, hey, do you think you should sign up? There was none of that. Yeah. And I remember in October that walk, and I remember with you saying, Debra, I've been thinking for a long time that I need to do something about my physical health now. I'm not feeling my body is matching my brain. I'm just feeling not in alignment. I'm feeling unhealthy is the word. I'm not sleeping. I was in a slump where I would work and sit all day. Bearing in mind, I'd moved to a more sedentary job as well, which had been a big shift that I hadn't accounted for. So there's a lot of sitting. I remember having secret food drawers. There's a real scarcity mindset around food. Food is going to run out. Have backups of all the food in your drawers. So I remember just sitting, grazing on Pringles. Oh, I just love crisps. Still do. Still can eat them. Isn't that a wonder?
I know, but Lou, can we just touch on, I don't want to like jump ahead, but you still eat crisps. Yeah. You eat them in moderation. You've now found moderation.
Gee whiz, who'd have
such a huge win. But yes, you do love
when we said Chris love that's my thing. And I remember having this drawer of just stuff, and I actually remember feeling really embarrassed when Blake, we hot desk, and he shares my desk, and would be like, what is all this stuff? I'd be like, oh, something for the kids fair, something for something else. Shut up, fucking shut up. And then the girls would be just going over there going, well, mummy's got food in her drawer, so I'm just going to have that instead, because it was almost became the new snack drawer. But anyway, going back, we were on that walk, and I'd said to you, Debra, I think I'm ready, but I'm going to be honest, I'm terrified, and I don't want you to know how much I weigh. I remember saying that was the biggest barrier for me, was even myself was knowing how much I'd weighed, because I'd never weighed myself. You only ever weigh yourself when you're on a diet. You then stop and you never weigh yourself again until you then 5 years later.
Just to caveat that off, with clients, I use various measures of progress. So some people, if it's really problematic, I don't do scale weight at all. But what you and I worked through, because I remember having this conversation with you about taking scale weight, and you were scared of it. And I think what we have now overcome is that it's a number. It's just a measure of progress. And we switched it from measuring in stone and pounds to kilograms, because we don't understand. We still don't understand kilograms.
I think that was because you know me I think that's the point, is you're a very intuitive coach. And I think I know anyway by your community that I am coached differently to somebody else, and they're coached differently. So that's the whole point of coaching, right? It's a bespoke journey. So it's like fear immersion. Like you were like, we're going to do this because it's not a thing. And I remember just being like, it's a thing, it's a thing. It's not a thing, let's do this. But we'll review, we'll see how we are, but we're going to do this. And I remember reading out the number tune going, it's this. And you going, right, okay, so that's it. And just, it was enough. It was like me reading the time. It's like me saying, it's 11:05. And you were like, yeah, it's 11:05. Great, it's 11:05. We'll get to 11:15. And I remember going, oh my God, she doesn't look horrified. Oh my God, she's not horrified. She's not gasping. She doesn't look embarrassed, because that's what my life was. So I felt really, oh, okay, so this is just a starting point. This is just a metric. What I cannot even tell you and there's been many wins, but one of the absolute biggest is there is just nothing in weighing myself now. Every single day, it's just nothing. Sometimes I won't even remember what it was, because I'm like, it's just a number. There is no emotive connection to that, meaning I'm a good or bad person. So to undo that conditioning has been phenomenal. But I remember saying it to you, and I remember you saying, absolutely brilliant, I'm here for you, how can I help you, what do you want? And I was like, I want to work with you, but I'm scared to weighing myself, I'm scared of this bit. And you just talked me through that. You were like, this is going to be just magic, it's going to be absolutely brilliant, this is all about you put people on the map, that's what it is. And I felt, wow, like this is going to be a year that belongs to me. I don't think I quite realized what a transformative year it would be. I thought I would lose body fat, I'm going to be honest, because I thought it was another thing. Coaching is nothing that you would have ever experienced before to anybody listening. It's just not any, you know, it's transformative if you want it to be.
It is completely different to your average diet or diet club, because it is completely different. But what I want to focus on, Lou, is, you know, you've made incredible progress. Incredible. And it's, you know, down to, you know, I can lead the horse to water, I can give you the tools, the strategies, etc. But you have been responsible for carrying out all those actions. And what's really incredible about your journey, and what people won't realize, is you've lost this weight. We don't count calories. We don't
never have counted a calorie ever in this.
We don't check your nutrition in any way.
I don't know what's in it. I still don't know what's in stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't.
We do it by photographs, which are uploaded. It's very easy. But Lou does not count calories. She does not track food intake, you know, with numbers. And she has achieved her goal through the habits and the targets that I've given her, that she has repeated consistently. And obviously we've tweaked it, changed it, and we've worked on various things. But and I just wanted to get that out there. That
I was going to say, that's been, I think, again, it comes down to you knowing me, and nothing is fun when I'm in a box. So nothing is fun for me. I can't, I've got to look at that, add in, work it out, divide it by, halve it, measure it, weigh it, put it on it. No. Food for me is my lifelong love affair. I love food. I never want to not love food. My relationship with food has never been better, I'd say, ever. I respect it. I love it. It nourishes me. It's brilliant. What I do also want to give myself probably credit for over the years with getting into, so I was the end of the BMI scale. There wasn't anywhere else to go when I started with you. It was maxed out. It was the highest it could ever be, which is going to have implications, we know, on lots of health, you know, conditions down the line. It could. So
longevity of life, Lou.
Yeah. So I was, but what I wouldn't say is I ever ate I've loved always cooking. And I mean, you've said this when you look at my plates of food, and I love cooking. I'm always loved cooking. I've been fortunate in that. I know it's horrible for some people. I love it. Love loads of food. Love good food. Love all food. Food is wonderful. But it was always a place of joy for me. It was the only place of joy for me. And I think that's what you said to me, and you said to lots of people, and I've heard it on your podcast as well. It's only problematic if it's the only thing, which it was. So an outing, a social do where I felt embarrassed about my body, didn't want to speak to people, I'd be busy cooking for people, or I'd go to children because it was my safety net than having to actually have a conversation with people, because I felt shame in the way I looked. It's almost like your body is that indicator of if you're successful or not. Oh, look, she's let herself go since last Christmas we've seen them, or, you know, I didn't want, so I used that, I think, as a real avoidance thing. But I love food, and I didn't actually cook unhealthy food, but there's just been the education you've given me has just been utterly seismic. The easy swaps of things that you wouldn't even know or taste different, or it wouldn't do anything to your food. You swap it out, and that is going to have such a seismic over time. That will have such a seismic, you know, impact for you on your outcomes and what you want. There were some absolutely amazing nuggets along this year where I've just been, oh God, didn't even think of that. Oh, can you? You can get, oh wow, I didn't know you could get that, because it's not something I've looked at before. But I just don't know. I think so. Getting all those ducks in a row for me was the first thing I wanted to say, was I had my mental health. Then I started with you, and I said, right, I'm ready. Now you said to me, we're going to start in January, which was clever.
Yeah, I think, you know what I remember saying to you, Lou, is I remember saying, you have to sign up now because my prices are going up.
Yeah.
If you want the existing price, you've got to sign up now.
Very clever, firstly, to get me in and make me commit. But also it was the let's start, because there's more work to do. Let's start in the January, because, you know. So I did. And I remember that day one, and I remember the photos, and I still look at that photo. You've still got it. It's on our forever hidden on Trainer Eyes. But what's great now is there's no shame. There's no shame. I loved me then. And that is something I really want to make clear, that this wasn't oh, you know, get that violin thing out that you hear on a thing. She'd let herself go so much. This person, so fat, so horrible, so awful, which is what we do in media. We shame someone and then we say, now they're successful, now they're great because they're not that thing. Being fat is not the worst thing you could be in the world. Being a murderer is, actually, quite frankly. So that firstly was about me accepting, like you said, that acceptance thing. I just accepted that this is just not acceptance, I'm not going to do anything about it, but just an overarching, you're a good person. I'd worked on the things that were more important, my personality, how I help a friend, how I am as a mum, what I'm like at work. Those were the things that mattered. That when I started this, it was never from a place of shame. There's not one bit of me that was like, oh, you're awful. There was nothing. I was like, yay, come on, we're going to do this. We're cooking on gas, Lou. And it became, I became my biggest cheerleader along with you as my best friend. Like, that is in itself, to me, if you would say one thing, if you were to say to me, Louise, what is the one thing that any of this has been successful, it's but that I have absolutely put a wall of around me of things that it's impenetrable. Myself is so important. These things will never be sacrificed again. I will never not walk. I will never not, you know, feed myself lovely food. I will never not probably go to the gym, even though I never want to. I just do it now because it's my life and I actually love it when I'm there. I love it. But I will, these things are impenetrable now. They are just a defense wall up of these are the things that are non-negotiables because they are for you and they're so important. Yeah. And I'm my best friend. I think that it sounds so twee to say that. We're not taught to say nice stuff about ourselves. We're British. We're supposed to laugh at ourselves and be self-deprecating. But to absolutely say I took my own hand through that last year, future me can now say that, looking back at me, I took that hand and I was like, you are bloody fabulous and brilliant, and you're still fabulous and brilliant, and all of these things is just about feeling better in your body. Yeah. I just wanted to go up the stairs not out of breath. I wanted to not even think I had to say no to a lot of things. So if you'd have said to me, do you want to go on a walk to you know, I don't know, a half an hour walk, I would find excuses not to go on that half an hour walk because I genuinely thought physically I was not able to do that. And I got to the point where I was like, oh God, my life is getting too small because I can't say yes to things. I can't just say yes to walks. I can't live. So I had to, and everything became, then when you're in such a body with, you know, a heavier body, everything is cumbersome and laboursome. My joints hurt. I put my back out, which was a huge thing in that, you know, that time, and I couldn't move for a long time. And I just started thinking, yeah, this isn't the life that you want to live, is it? So it felt really empowering last year just to be like, this is about feeling. So everything was about, am I feeling better as a result of it? Yes, brilliant, carry on. It's like one of those graphs, isn't it? Do you feel? Yes, carry on. Do you feel? No, change it.
I've written a couple of notes, but I'm going to touch on what you've just literally said. And I talk about it in every post to all my clients. And it's exactly what you said, is it's not about the weight loss. It's not about anything. It's about how you feel. And when you focus on how you feel, all those other things, all that other noise, that will all settle into place. You'll lose the weight. You'll get your health in a better place when you focus on how you feel. And it's so important. But what you've really said earlier on that I noted on my little pad here is when you started your journey of yourself and improving your physical health to match how you felt mentally, is it didn't come from a place of shame. And I know that, especially as we're in January, we're recording this podcast in January. I know that with January being, and people may have, you know, it's been Christmas. It's not unusual to gain a few pounds with the more indulgent food and the more social events that have gone on. Is the first thing people do come January is they jump on a scale and shame themselves into change. And it's never going to work when you do it from a place of shame. And because you've done it from a place of self-care, self-kindness, and showing yourself, you know, compassion, it has been the best starting block for you to have had long-term success. And you have had long-term success.
Yeah.
And it has been a year, and it's also worth, for the listeners noticing, is Lou has had multiple holidays. She's had multiple things social events and things going on in her life. And I am going to let Lou touch on this, but this Christmas to last Christmas has looked entirely different to Lou. And I'm going to let her tell you about that and where her wins have been, what we call her wins, or what she's most proud of. But it is important to also note that all what Lou has achieved and put in place this Christmas, she has spent a year doing what I call the deeper work, because it's not just about eating less and moving more. That's about as helpful as nothing. That's the principle, of course, it's science, but we're people. We have, we have jobs, we have lives, we have emotions, we have pressures, we have commitments. And it's the deeper work that you've been open to, Lou, that has given you the change and the results that you have achieved. So tell us about your wins this Christmas.
Christmas was really different. So I was still ultra. So another thing you should know, probably we should say very quickly before I start on this, is the all or nothing mentality. So we talked about perfectionism, but I am in or I am out for 40, 30 odd years. I am, what's that? Eat dust, run 500 minutes, I'm in, I'm there. Or I'm just rolling around in all of the beautiful stuff, ignoring it all. So actually, moderation is the other thing that is going to be part of this conversation about Christmas, is another seismic win for me. Learning how to be in the middle, which was always, you were taught, the boring spot, right? Being balanced, being in the middle is boring. Has never been. It's a myth, everyone. It's the joyful, it's where the living is, it's where the sweet spot is between learning to, and I'm sure people probably think when I'm out, how is she doing it? She's drinking gin, she's had a slice of cake, she's, what the hell are you doing? It's moderation, and it's picking your wins. Now, as you've said, I do have quite a lot of social stuff. I love that. I love seeing friends. To me, I'd never, in all my other diets before, it's just that went dead. No, can't come out. I'll see you in maybe 6 months and I've lost 4 stone. And then I'll just go and devour 7 pizzas with you. So I didn't know that. That was what I was very nervous about, was that I remember you first saying that. I was like, what? I don't say no to it. You're like, no, you're going to bloody go. Of course you are. Don't be ridiculous. This is life. You're going to live. This is your life you're living. And I remember going, what? But I'm on a diet. No. So that's been just like to the point where now it's life. That when I go out, I am always, so before it was very much had to have a plan. And I do, but I do it now so intrinsically.
Yeah.
It's so intuitive now to know that I'm not having a pudding because I'm not fussed today about a pudding. Because also, some days I will be, some days I won't. I'm more of a savoury girl, so it's like, don't fancy any of the starters. Oh, I will have a side though. I will have a side of those courgette fritter things at Zizi's. Magic. Thought, I'm adding that like yesterday to Miss Seabass. Mwah, chef's kit. Sorry, earphone gone. But
This is live. This is live.
This is what happens.
I just had to get up and let the dog in.
But it's learning that if you're going out, and December was at times 3 times a week, it's about picking your indulgences. That's your phrase I've copyrighted there. Do not sue me. But Debra's picking your indulgences, picking the wins, picking the things that you're going to say yes or no to. Now, drink and alcohol for me, I think the hedonistic uni life and growing up in the 80s, I was a massive, massive drinker in that sort of 18, early 20s. Feel like I've done that, been there, worn the t-shirt. I'm not bothered about. It's never been something that's a non-negotiable for me. I love lots of drinking on a night out. Gin and slimline is a really brilliant, easy, clever swap if you are having a couple of drinks with friends. So that's something I did over Christmas. I did drink some more, but I stuck to sort of maybe a drink or a couple of drinks. And I only sort of drank in terms of the actual, now I'm talking not the socials in December, but actual Christmas Day, Boxing Day. And then I'm not fussed, it's fine. I love crisps, as I said to you. Not last year, because that's the year just gone. The year before, I would probably say I would have bought in the region of 8 maybe shareable size different crisps, because I'm like, oh, but I like them and I like them and I like them and I like them and I like it all. Now that in itself is not a problem. Buy them, that's not a problem. It's what you do with it and how you behave with them. And if you had one crisp over a year, it's not going to make a difference. So it's not buying the 8 bags, but I didn't have the education. So I'd be buying the 8 bags to eat them in 2 days, because then you're going to panic because Christmas is then over and you've got to be good again. So it'd be like, eat all of it, then panic. So it's a scarcity mindset. Food's going to vanish. I remember going on trips being like, but what if we don't have food? And my husband's like, we're just driving to France. We'll get there's shops, but I've got to pack everything, you know. So now so Christmas was about the food's not going anywhere. I bought less. I did buy, say, 3 varieties of it. The girls are like me and love it. So I'd often before remember having to hide another bag for me and then them for them. Now it's just the family stuff. And I will often look and go, you bloody didn't leave me anything, cheeky gifts. And it's just there, and it's there for who has it. I ate meals. I made sure I had my meals still. I did a mini shop in between that, which I've never done before, the 27th, 8th, because that is the window for me. Yeah. And actually, that's the bit I contacted you, because it would be very disingenuous of me to say I didn't have a wobble over Christmas. And I want to say that because we're not here to look perfect. This is progress over perfection. And this is the first Christmas that I've ever acted or behaved differently in 42 years. So yes, I did have a wobble on the 27th. So I've been still pretty disciplined up until sort of, I don't know, 18th, 19th, 20th of December. And then I'm like, right, I'm going into Christmas week. Let's go more maintenance. That's what I'm excited about this year working with you, is really getting a feel of truly embedding what that means to me. So I didn't go and buy loads of chocolates before that Christmas food shopping that week. So a box of chocolates came to the family. I love a box of M&S biscuits. They're the best thing ever invented, the Christmas ones. But I bought a family box rather than buying a family box, a backup family box, me a box, and Blake a box to have something to open. It was just nuts. So we bought a family box of biscuits, family box of chocolates. Now I chose my wins this time. I chose my indulgences. I spoke to you. What I've become is fussier and used to this. If it's not a hell yeah, or if it's not a puck yeah, it's a no. So that really works for my brain. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not fussed. Don't like Quality Street or Roses. They just taste like cheap chocolate. Don't like it. So I said, no, thank you. And the kids bloody devoured the box over Christmas. Yeah. And that's great. And that's fine. But I do love mint chocolate balls. But instead of buying me the box for my stocking, maybe a box just open at Christmas at some point, and my birthday is 6 days later, a box then, me and Blake had a discussion way before Christmas about the approach to it and what we're going to do and how I want us to show up, which is important to note. And he was amazing. So he'd been to Sainsbury's and got the box where they do the pick and mix and just picked the box with the 8 in. And I'm like, yay! Yeah. It was so joyful because I'm still eating the stuff I love. It was a pickier choice. It was a more indulgent choice, but it's me picking something I really like, which then makes me adhere to it more. Yeah. And it's less of it.
Yeah. What you've described, Lou, is, just to break it down, what you've described and what you achieved. And it's not just at Christmas, it's in your day-to-day life and in your social occasions and just in general, is you've become more in tune to your hunger and your feeling of fullness. You're eating more wholesome meals at regular time, timings, whereas before, you didn't. And this is really common with a lot of people, is they skip meals, they deprive themselves, and unfortunately, it tends to bite you in the bum, whether it be that same day or late or a few days later, it tends to bite you in the bum. But what you've done is you've tuned into hunger and fullness. You're eating wholesome, good quality nutrition at your meals. You are including all foods, no matter what day of the week, what time of the year it is. You can eat whatever you want to eat or include whatever you want to eat. So you have reduced your scarcity mindset, which is basically, in layman's terms, is, if what I liken it to is, how many of you listening perhaps have thought, I've got to eat everything up from Christmas to get it out the house because
January 1st,
eat it again. You can eat your Lindt chocolate on a Tuesday afternoon in February. It doesn't, you know that now.
And I think something that's been said as well with us is that I think the most successful people that have sustainable, weight loss or can maintain their weight sustainably within a range is that they don't diet for January, because you haven't done I'm not allowed anything, restrict or overeat in December. That it's just like, I'm not cutting out carbs in January. Thank you very much. Carbs are life. That was my first conversation with you. Carbs are life.
I agree.
But playing around with my plate in proportions has been a game changer. That has been a game changer. Now I remember me and you had a chat about a roast potato once. That was a really wonderful coaching session. Where it's like, Debs, I think I have to have this roast potato. I want a good roast potato. Of course, it's life. You're living. Have the roast potato. Don't need 7 of them. I stopped, knife and fork down, eat, talk, whatever, socialise with people. Fine. I was absolutely fine on whatever portion I'd set myself, a couple. That's fine. But it's knowing about what your wins are. It's knowing about what you're willing to negotiate on. And then it's learning that there's some stuff that's absolutely gives me such satisfaction, such joy, that I'm not going to compromise, because it's going to give me longer term adherence to this lifestyle, and I'm not going to be resentful. And I think that was a key for me. Everything needed to be part of this my life. If I hadn't have eaten a Pringle in a year, I'd be in here now, 7 deep.
Yeah, but this is key, Lou, is unfortunately when people do and as you've done in your past, the quick fixes, the fad diet, the diet clubs, the pills, potions, lotions, whatever, is they take you so far away from how you live your life that it's not maintainable and it's not sustainable. Because if you love a roast potato, you got to keep eating roast potatoes. And as you said, you look at the portion size and you control what you can around that. But I think as well for you, the biggest achievement that you've made, and you've talked about this a lot, is how in the past you strived for perfection. Everything had to be perfect. Yeah. And I do remember having some check-ins where we talked about this, and it's about, and this is for anything in life, not just in terms of health or weight loss, letting go of perfection, being perfect, will benefit you and enable you to progress more in whatever area of your life you're working on. Letting go of perfectionism is a huge one.
It's the tortoise and the hare. I think I'm so used to being the tortoise and smashing on through, but just the slow and steady wins the race. Progress over perfection. The turning up, the looking at my watch thinking, oh my God, I've done 3,000 steps at 9 o'clock, and choosing, because I really want to have that sign off for my evening in the way that I want to, going for that walk that isn't going to get me up to 10,000, but it's going to absolutely chip away, because then over the week and over time, that choice would have made a difference. That choice of doing those extra couple of thousand would have made the difference. Me not having a biscuit today, no difference to my body composition if I say yes or no to a biscuit today. But choosing over time when I want to, you've helped me become a lot more intuitive, I think, by not tracking calories as well. I've become much more zoned into, I do. And learning how to not have that shame attached to it. Because I remember it was about 6 months in where you and I had that session where it's like the coaching talk. It's like, right, this is fabulous. This is going great. This is all quite perfect. And I remember having a week to you where it either plateaued my weight or I had gone a bit heavy, into the chocolate or something. And I remember being really nervous about the check-in. I do remember that, being like, oh my God, this isn't going to be the one where I get my A-star grade gold badge and I'm going to be told I'm perfect. And I remember you just didn't care, you didn't have any emotion. And that's what it is. It's about not emotionally attaching to a behavior. So you didn't have that. You were like, this is great. You were the opposite. You were like, now I've got something we can cook with gas here. We can work on what led to that. Okay. And I remember one of my habits was, get yourself a coach like Debra, people. One of my habits was to eat a portion of crisps. After a meal. There was boundaries attached, not boundaries, there were guidelines to attach to it. Like, after you've had a really satiating meal, if you want, and I remember thinking, like, this is the best day of my life. I'm being told this is brilliant. But it really helped, because I remember I had subliminally been restricting those first sort of few months. And then it all started to ebb and flow. My first holiday, I was really nervous at France. And I came back mean, there must have just been a couple of pounds in it. And that was 2 weeks of a croissant pretty much for 12 mornings with a really lovely porridge, and I had fruit, and and we went to the supermarket, and I'd set on my environment, and there were all the other things that you talked to me about.
You did so well, Lou. Now I want to ask you, so we've talked about all your habits and behaviors and how things have changed and the weight that you've lost. And just to remind people, Lou has lost 7 stone, which is absolutely incredible. She's mentioned the word maintenance, and just to clarify what that is, maintenance is when you maintain your results, which is often, that's, you know, like dieting, whilst it's not easy, you have a focus, you have a weekly, you know, you see progress every week. And when you move into maintenance, the changes are less, there are no changes. You're just trying to stay around and about the same as where you are. And so that, you know, this is another good measure. Good's not the right word, but it's another measure of how successful, you know, your weight loss is, because losing it and regaining it is not going to be very helpful. But I want to just ask you, Lou, you've lost a huge amount of weight. Tell me what you've gained.
Yeah.
You know,
Jesus.
Give it to me in a few lines. What have you gained?
I have fallen in love with living. And I didn't think that was possible. I just love the simplicity of life. I mean, we're still busy. Your brain's still fried. You've got loads going on. But I love how just aligned my life is to my values. I feel like I am in charge. I don't feel like I'm constantly on the back of a cart being pulled along, forced through life, and life happening to me, and and now I've just gone and done this and this, and then you're so bad. Everything, the storm has settled, and I'm just sailing. And there is, I remember you saying that in a check-in, sometimes you're sailing, sometimes you're rowing, sometimes you know, and I feel that
I took that.
I never knew that you could have a joy in just living and showing up, because I feel better, because I can walk more. I walked, 10 miles on my birthday with a group of girls to Burco for brunch. I couldn't have done that a year ago. There's so many things that I'm so proud of that my body can do. I can walk faster. Never could walk fast. I can walk faster now. I can do a nice brisk walk. I think I can get up a hill briskly. Lovely. And I ran for 20 minutes on a treadmill the other day, and I felt $1 million. There's things that I can do now. But it just feels joyful. I don't feel scared to turn up in a room full of people and talk to them, look them in the eye, whereas I would have, because everything's aligned. My physical health is aligned to my mental health. It feels like I'm on the right track. I feel like I've just been going around the park going, where's the bloody A41? Anyone know? And I finally just found my path, and I feel so content in a place that I've not. I saw a robin. I told you this in my check-in as one of my gratitudes for that day. Little robin redbreast. We always say good afternoon, Colin. Good evening, Colin. My granddad. He's just there by the window. I felt utterly joyful. I feel joy watching the birds eat off of my bird feeder in the garden. It's lovely.
Have your relationships been impacted by your
people come with you, don't they? If people are, and I don't want to say I'm a beacon for any of this, by the way. I am not. I remember being really triggered when I was in a bad place about people, their success. Oh, we've done what? Oh God, triggered by them. But that's a them problem, not a you problem. You just focus on you. You focus on what you want to achieve in your life. You align your actions to your values and your goals. You feel then $1 million, and you're proud of yourself. You're proud for turning up every day. Something you said to me, sorry, I'm going off piece, but the science sometimes, when you do the science, the physiological health, and I'm going to be completely controversial here and say, lovely, I get it, but it didn't hit in my heart. It didn't make me then act. But what you said to me that made all of this is, you said, what would tomorrow's you say to you now? That blew my mind. That is where you get into the heart of it. So then I was like, I walked quite a bit yesterday, because the day before I hadn't, and I'd said, but that's it now, because tomorrow's me. I went to the gym, yesterday, and I'm like, well done, thank you, thanks yesterday's you for doing that. I can really feel it today. Thanks you for doing it. So it's like, how are you what would you say to tomorrow's self, or what would tomorrow's self say to you now? And that really, really seismically shifted things.
Yeah.
But no, gaining, I've gained,
Incredible.
my friends have, you know, I've got lots of different friends. I'm really lucky, different groups, different pockets. One of my best friends, Bex, she's never mentioned my body, never mentioned the way I look, never says a word about anything to do with appearance in the world. So I turned up for a dinner, I think, before Christmas. She was like, how are you feeling? How's it, you know, how's life? That's what she's interested in. And like you. And I was like, it's just different game, Bex. I just feel like a different person. My group of mums here, you know, they've all said they're just so proud of what I've achieved. And they know that I'm going to say yes to things. I'll go out, and we went on a big walk, and they were doing a bit of the pub crawl, and I didn't, you know, I just didn't drink. I wasn't up for it. And it wasn't about that for me. And that's what you said. It's like, what is the purpose of doing the things that you do? And it's, for me, it's the socializing, it's the seeing people, it's the having the deep chats, it's the making you laugh. It's, those are the reasons I do them, not the booze and the food per se. So it's a shift on what you want out of it. But the friends have been really proud. And I think the people that come with you and admire that are going to stay with you. There'll be people that won't. There'll be people that won't understand it, or it's too far from them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You have to normalize that in life, that you're not going to be best friends with the person you met when you were 3 till you're 90. It's not. It doesn't work like that.
You've done so well, Lou. I mean, as a friend and as a coach, I'm so proud of watching you grow and flourish and thrive and live your life to the fullest. And that just makes me so happy to see you in the place that you are now. And, you know, we've been friends a long time, and I've always loved your company and always loved our chats. And I think we are definitely friends on a deep, has always been on a deeper level. But to watch you thrive and grow is, you know, in your photos, all I see is the energy emanating from you in a photo. It's incredible, and absolutely incredible.
Before we go, I know you're going to sign off, but I have to say a thank you, because it is none of this. Yes, I've lost 7 stone, but and gained a life, to be honest, that I want to live, that's worth living. But that none of that is possible without a coach. Now, she hasn't, I promise you, I know we're friends, she hasn't lined me up to say this, she doesn't know I'm saying it, but investing in a coach is life changing, and investing in the right coach is life changing. So if anybody's thinking about doing some bigger work here, deeper work, but for a lifelong, you know, joy of life worth living, it's a no-brainer. And, you know, contact Debra, speak to Debra, email, whatever it is, WhatsApp, whatever tools to communicate, but get in touch and have the conversation at the beginning, which is just to work out if you're even a, you know, a good fit, because Debra, you know, is a brilliant coach, but it has to be the right fit. It has to be the people that are, you know, going to do this, and because you need to get the most out of it, because she wants the best results for you. So there's no point doing it if you're not sure. But please do, because it's been, like I say, I've never had a year. It's been my favourite year of my life. Who thought that could happen at that time? So yeah, it's been amazing, and I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, I'm going to end the podcast at a perfect end. All my contact details, and I'm going to put, Lou, you'll give me which Instagram account if people want to follow your journey. I will add your contact details to your Instagram to the show notes. And yeah, thank you for joining us, thank you for listening, and Lou, thank you for inspiring many people. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you loads.
Take care. Love you too.
Bye.